was the United Nations Secretary General who, into that chaotic environment, asserted himself and took leadership of the issue, international ownership of it. He appointed a special coordinator, appointed an Ebola crisis manager. He convened a high-level meeting of government officials, heads of state here at the General Assembly Hall. He called world leaders from all over the globe, and he established this first ever UN Global Health Emergency mission. That mobilization of international political will led to the resources and actions that were necessary to support the efforts on the ground. And yes, there were many other world leaders like President Obama and Prime Minister Abe who were instrumental in helping to mobilize that will. But I think that turning point came about in August and September when the United Nations Secretary General really asserted his leadership and generated the will we need. As many were heading for the exits from the countries amidst the fear and the panic, the United Nations was charged by our Secretary General to enter into the crisis and stand side by side with the governments and the people. The second issue that, aspect that really made such a big difference, I think, as much as the international community and the United Nations contributed to turning things around, it's as Ambassador Banbury said, it was the governments and the communities themselves of the Ebola-affected countries who really carried the burden. And through their efforts, with the help of the international community, it's they who turned it around. They were confronted by this horrifying, deadly, terrible disease that was destroying families, ripping apart communities, forcing dramatic changes in behavior. And it was strong government leadership, the presidents, President Sirleaf Johnson, President Baikaroma, President Condé, President Keita of Mali. These presidents, they're very professional, hardworking officials and the communities who work side by side with the United Nations and their partners. But they were the ones who carried the heaviest load. And many people often say to me, what a great job the United Nations did in helping to contribute to the end of Ebola. But the truth is, it's an honor and it's a privilege for the United Nations to work side by side with our partners in the government, in the communities, during such a crisis. And I was very privileged to have been part of that. Now the situation is much better, but it's not good enough. As has been said, we need to get to 0 cases, but 0 cases isn't good enough either. We need to help the countries build healthcare systems that are capable of not responding to a crisis like this, but preventing it. We don't need to respond, we need to avoid a crisis like this. And that means strong government and community-based surveillance systems. And we, as the United Nations, will continue with great honor, pride, and humility to stand side by side with our government partners and our friends in the countries that have been affected to help make that happen. Finally, I would just like to say a dear friend and colleague and a staff member of Admir Martine Perret, who's a beautiful photographer. She is getting married on Friday, and I want to wish her the very best in her marriage and thank her for her work in West Africa